Top 10 technical and scientific terminology that are totally serious but sound absurd. The life of a scientist, economist, computer specialist, or structural engineer can be monotonous, even if you have a natural desire and passion for your subject. Mastering these highly difficult activities requires a significant amount of time and effort. Who could blame them for giving one of their discoveries or creations a silly name now and then? Okay, so some of these posts were intended to be hilarious, but that doesn't diminish their amusement. Scientists with a sense of humor, we salute you. Excelsior. Number 10. Skid, I'm addressing you. The majority of people who have had a general medical examination with a doctor have had their reflexes evaluated. With a quick tap on the knee and a small involuntary kick, you can avoid serious nervous system illnesses. The knee tap isn't the only way to discover an involuntary reflex either. The human body can perform a variety of reactions, including knee jerks. One of them is related to the eye. That's the case with the brown eye. An anal wink occurs when the skin around the anus is stimulated. Please try to read that sentence back without giggling like a small child. The absence of this reflex, like those of other reflexes, implies a breakdown in the neuronal pathway of the central nervous system, damage to the pudendum, or damage to the spinal cord. So you'd better hope you've got a cheeky balloon knot that smiles whenever it's tickled. Number 9. You'll need a rock to knock your socks off if you want to get your rocks off. A rock-forming mineral with a fascinating name can be found in New Zealand, Scotland, South Africa, Sweden, and the northeastern United States. It was found and named near Cummington, Massachusetts in 1824. The mineral bears the name of the town, Cummingtonite. Chester Dewey did not analyze the species but did note its strange physical appearance, according to Mindat.com. Despite the evident coincidence of the mineral being discovered at a place named after his chosen name, he later explained that it was in fact based on a promise he had made to his wife at breakfast that morning. Number 8. Kuchi Kuchi Ku. What happened to my hammer? Contrary terms come in handy for two things: naming punk bands like the Razor Clouds or Shotgun Kittens, and making people laugh. These linguistic anomalies occur frequently, especially in the study of human behavior. We are complex organisms, maybe the most complex on Earth, given our enormous minds. Therefore, we should expect a number of seemingly contradictory features when describing ourselves. Mood, knowledge, and environmental changes all influence this ever-changing profile. Cute aggression is perhaps the most humorous-sounding term here. What a great punk band name. This is the desire to bite, pinch, squeeze, or crush something that is deemed extremely cute due to its sweetness without intending to cause harm, probably. As it plays, you notice a little dog rolling around, sitting up, and peering into your eyes, including sneezes. It's fairly uncommon for you to exclaim, "I wish I could squash you." Then there are 5 minutes of newborn gibberish chatter. The dimorphous expression is one that includes things like laughing at a funeral or lightly patting your beloved when they do something nice. Cute aggression, like other dimorphic expressions, is assumed to have evolved as a mechanism for people to cope with excessive pleasant emotions while caring for others. Number 7. Surveillance. Flatworms are weird little animals that float around in tropical oceans like gorgeous shreds of colorful silk. They, like many other animals in nature, are hermaphroditic, meaning they have both male and female sex organs. Unfortunately, like many other creatures, their mating ritual is nasty and aggressive. Flatworm copulation, despite their surface similarities, is more analogous to a Hollywood action picture. When it's time to mate, two flatworms will rear up and compete for insemination, exposing their two sharp penises in the process, like a rapier and a parrying dagger in human duels. If this had been applied to human 17th century duels, would have been far more ridiculous. The term penis fencing is a fantastically anthropomorphized description of this mating behavior. The Flatworm Olympics are of course a must-see. Number 6. There isn't a suspicious term in the English language. Camera and lens improvements, video gaming, Tamagotchi, Ivermectin for treating parasitic illnesses like river blindness, and that's all. The Sony Walkman and Discman, and of course tentacle pornography. The Japanese have been responsible for a slew of scientific and technological breakthroughs in the last 200 years. Oh, and deep-fried matcha ice cream, of course. The Japanese invention that you may not be aware of is the precise technique for detecting the sex of a chicken. The cornholes of males and females are slightly different. Great care must be taken in handling the tiny birds as they crush easily apparently. Japanese scientists discovered a foolproof way to tell if a newborn chick is male or female by looking at her excrement tract. Males and females have slightly different cornholes. Great care must be taken in handling the tiny birds as they crush easily apparently. The Zen Nippon school quickly applied the technique, which resulted in a worldwide reduction in egg prices. Second-generation Japanese Americans were exceedingly successful in turning this practice into a lucrative line of business, effectively cornering the U.S. market. The phrase sexing is used to characterize this process, which is unfortunate for the English language. Sexing of chickens. A chicksexer, which is even more childish, is someone who has been trained to do this. This is because, unbeknownst to most people, Japan is entirely made up of 13-year-old boys living in the treehouse from the film Stand By Me, which is littered with Playboy magazines. Number 5. Will someone please think of the kids? Mothers Against style bands were all the rage in the 1980s. These censorious, honestly concerned and frequently extremely religious matrons made it their duty to rectify all of the Western world's moral failings during that decade and far into the 1990s. Their fight against many offenses, also known as fun, ranged from heavy metal and rap music lyrics to violence in films, television, and video games, as well as urging adolescent abstinence from. Despite their noble intentions, Mothers Against Drunk Driving was a significant group and one of the least despised. They were a little preachy. Several scientists adopted the term with their tongues firmly in their cheeks after the discovery of a novel protein in the DNA of fruit flies in the mid-1990s, and later related proteins called SMADs in many other species, including us. Mothers Against Decapentaplegic turns off the decapentaplegic gene, which instructs the cell to stop reproducing. This strangely named protein has piqued the interest of scientists working on a cancer cure. Number 4. Tiny croakers are a kind of croaker found in Madagascar. Naming conventions in zoology can be puzzling. The correct taxonomic word for a lion is Panthera leo, which implies that the leo species of the Panthera genus in the Felidae family is the animal usually known as a lion. Is everything clear now? Good. A German researcher has given a newly discovered genus of Madagascar's little frogs a far more straightforward and intelligible name, Minnie. Yes, as well. They certainly are. The multiple species have been given imaginative species names in order to follow the genus. Mini Mum, Miniature, and Mini Skule are all little enough to fit comfortably on your fingernail with room to spare. Number 3. It doesn't always go downhill. Etymologists are dispatched on decade-long missions to decipher names and phrases with exceedingly intricate Byzantine derivations. The rest of the sentences are basic. This is one of the latter. An SFD is a high-level technical drawing that is most typically used in developing countries to plan and enhance sanitation and sewage systems. They're particularly important in assisting planners in keeping effluent and waste from entering drinking water sources and other waterways. No one wants shit in their river after all, right? Shit flow diagram is an acronym for shit flow diagram. Yes, a shit flow diagram is a useful tool for reducing contamination of waterways. Was it too infantile to use the phrase, poop? Number 2. Programming is a challenging task. According to tone-deaf and mostly useless journalists, coding will be the new home economics or shop class in schools, as well as the new skill that workers whose jobs are soon to be taken over by automation, like the millions of truck drivers and coal miners who will all be moving down to Silicon Valley. Children and adults will soon learn enough coding to build and administer their own websites and decode a nuclear weapon in this brave new world. Urban Muller designed this coding language in 1993 with the sole intention of amusing coders. BrainFuck's goal is to break down simple orders into micro-steps, making an already challenging situation much more complex. Indefinitely, it's a Turing-complete system, meaning it can run a Turing machine, which makes it both logical and practical. Instead of spending a few hours a week learning about capital cities, Shakespeare, or long division, let's offer our kids a crash course in BrainFuck. Then sit back and watch their tiny minds disintegrate. Keep your eyes peeled for the abacus to resurface in a classroom near you. Number 1. That's how it happened. Although it would be cruel to characterize many English peers in the House of Lords as creepy little creatures with strangely curved teeth, paleontologists determined that naming an ancient ungulate after a flamboyant singer was okay. The species Gaugadon minimonstrum is a novel one. This strange-looking cross between a deer and a massive shrew was named after Lady Gaga, the singer of Born This Way, with Gaga referring to her stage name and Mini-Monster referring to her fans' little monsters. Or it could be because she and the long-dead beast both had extraordinarily large teeth with wide ridges at the base of its molars and pointed protrusions called cusps rising along their sides. Have you ever seen her teeth? This genus is a one-of-a-kind addition to the fossil record, featuring teeth that are unlike anything else found in the Americas. It roamed the area that is now known as southwestern Wyoming. Lady Gaga is a one-of-a-kind transgressive Italian-American musician with a huge LGBT following. What? Who exactly is this Madonna you're talking about?